Hey guys, welcome to this new video. Today we're talking about supply chain management, which is chapter 11 from Jay Aza and Barry Render. Before we go any further of the chapter, let's first of all look at our map. The first point is going to be about the strategic importance of supply chain. The second one will identify 5 supply chain strategies. The first one, we talk about the issues and opportunity in the supply chain and describe the approaches of a supply chain negotiation. So these are the 4 points that we'll be able to touch in this chapter. So few things that we'll have to talk about first is about what is supply chain management. So it is the integration of the activities that procure material and services to transform them into intermediate good and final product. But this is just the management part of the supply chain itself. But if we have to talk about it in more detail, we first of all need to understand what is supply chain. So the supply chain itself, it's a network between company and its suppliers to produce and distribute a specific product to the final product. So you understand that before even talking about how to manage a supply chain, you first of all need to know what is a supply chain. And according to the definition, the keyword first here is the network. You cannot talk about a supply chain if there's no a network. So it's a network whereby between a company X and its suppliers, so that we want to know who are the different companies or suppliers that form our network, so that we can provide a final product that will satisfy the customers. So let's take a look at our supply chain. We'll take an example of a company that manufactures burgers, for example. Let's assume that that company is McDonald's. So the final product is this meal that you get that is made of a burger, fries, and cold drink. In your supply chain, that is the final product. So you are working backward from the final product to the main component itself. So now the ingredient or the component that you will need to make a burger, first of all, it buns, vegetables. You also need beef patties. You'll also need a packaging box and cold drink. So a company that would like to make burgers and fries here will first of all start by identifying this element. Now they don't own a farm, they don't own a bakery to get all these things, so they've got suppliers that provide them with all these things. We'll start with the buns of bread here. A company that manufactures burgers will need first of all suppliers for buns of bread. Then after those buns, they'll be acquired from a bakery. The bakery will get those bread or the flour, sugar, and everything that is needed to make those buns from another supplier. Mainly they'll get the maize and everything from a farm. When you look at the same company that manufacture burgers, you find out that they also need to get vegetables like tomato, onions, and so on, that they'll also get at the farm. I mean, they'll also get at another supplier, who can be McCain, for example, and McCain get the product that are the raw unprocessed vegetables from a farm too. The next, you get the beef patty that you are going to get probably at a butchery, that will get also the meat from the slaughterhouse. The slaughterhouse also get the animal, the beef, from a farm. Then the next thing is you get the drinks. Generally, the main provider for drinks, especially for McDonald's, they deal with McDonald's. And then the last thing is the packaging that you might get at a company X. Now, all the lines that are on the screen here shows you that this is the network itself. The small product that we have to give to the customer, we have to go for a network of all these companies here. So we have to go for a bakery, we have to go for McCain, we have to go for Coca-Cola, we have to go for a farm, and so on. And this itself is not even the full network of this product. There are many other parts that are there, but these are the main components, just for you to get an idea of the different companies that are involved whenever you need to give this final product. And all of this that you see on the screen is what is called a supply chain. Now, McDonald's can also need some other suppliers like Escom, for example, for electricity, or they might need another internet provider for Wi-Fi. So all of those are part of what you call a supply chain. Now, the supply chain strategic importance. So today, competition, first of all, in the supply chain is not really about companies. You might think that competition is between McDonald's and Burger King, for example, while that's not the case. When you look at McDonald's and Burger King, for example, they got two. When you look at the fries, McDonald's offer the French fries and Burger King offer the other type of fries. Now, the competition, one would like to go to McDonald's because of the fries only. One would like to go to Burger King because of the fries only. But you understand that McDonald's themselves don't even own a farm. But yet, how come they get the fries? Where do they get the fries from? Burger King is the same thing. So those fries are coming from the supplier. We will assume that the supplier from McDonald's fries is supplier X, and the one from Burger King is supplier Y. You understand that the competition is between the two suppliers, it's between X and Y. It's not between McDonald's and Burger King, because McDonald's are just getting the final product. They are not making the product itself. So that's why today McDonald's can decide to change the suppliers and they can beat, for example, Burger King based on the taste. Likewise, Burger King can decide to also change the suppliers and they beat also McDonald's. So the challenge is about them selecting the best suppliers, because whatever they can only give what they get from the suppliers. Then next, you have the important issues that you need. First of all, whenever we're talking about supply chain management, few things that one need to consider. First of all, is about the transportation issues. For example, it's about the cash transfer from one place to another, the supplier, the distributor, the account payable and receivable, the warehousing, the order fulfilling. All of these are just some few things that one need to consider whenever you're talking about supply chain management. So global issues that happen whenever by global issues, we're really talking about this company that do business outside. You find out that most of the issues that I have to find out, first of all, is like they need to be able to react to certain changes in part availability, distribution, shipping channel, import duties, and currency tax rate. A company that, for example, works with other suppliers that are outside of the country, the rate needs to the currency rate needs to be considered. For example, the rate of the rent can increase in South Africa, but with other suppliers that are outside of South Africa, the rate is low. It affects also supply chain, it affects your cost. Next, you also have the use of the latest computer and transmission technology. Most of the time here, like today, we're talking about the fourth industrial revolution and so on. So you understand that you need, if few aspects that you need to consider. For example, a company that deals with technology, if they want to get suppliers, they need to get suppliers that are also able to deal with the latest technology. You wouldn't want to have a company that deals, for example, with 4 or 5G while your supplier is using still the edge connection. That is the main problem. The next thing is the staff with local specialists who handle duties, freight, custom, and political issues. Political issues are part that it's something that is really important in the supply chain. You find out that there are some businesses, for example, we're just going to take a short example about petrol, for example. Most of the time in countries like South Africa, we don't really manufacture petrol, so we import them from other countries like in Dubai and so on. So a problem in Dubai might affect the cost of petrol in South Africa. So if, for example, there are also political issues in the country and petrol become expensive, it's also going to affect South Africa. So that's why we need also to be able to understand that whenever you're dealing with the supply chain, all these global issues are related. So in the supply chain, there's what we call make or buy decision. Make or buy decision is about this company that decide what can we make by ourselves and what can we buy from ourselves. There are different reasons that one company can decide to make from themselves and reason why they can decide to buy. So reason that a company can decide to make by themselves can be to maintain the core competencies. For example, Coca-Cola is known to be this company that have the secret recipe to their drink, that they will never give another company to do that part from them, because they want to keep really the core competence. They want to keep that secret from themselves. That's why there are things that they'll always do by themselves. Another thing is like, if I do something by myself, it lowers my production cost. I don't have to pay people outside. Another reason is to unsuitable suppliers. Maybe your suppliers are not providing you with the information that you want, the information or the quality that you want. Another reason to make is to assure adequate supply, utilize suppliers or labor facility, obtain desired quality, remove supplier collusion, obtain unique item that will entail prohibit commitment and so on. Those are different reasons that one company can decide to make. It's not like they need to get all these reasons at once. Just one can be enough. One company can say the only reason we don't want to make things by ourselves is because we want to get a total control over our production. This can be one reason, and they can go for that. Another reason for a company to buy, like they can make it, or they just don't want, they just decide to buy that. Another reason can be to free management to deal with core competencies. A company that can deal with speed, for example, the core competencies is the speed of delivery. They can be like, we will do our best, we will outsource some other aspect so that we'll only focus on providing product with high speed, like it's our core competency. Another thing, it will lower the acquisition cost, preserve the supply commitment, obtain technical management in adequate capacity, reduce inventory costs and so on. Because when, for example, you are buying something from someone, it's not staying in your inventory, the person would keep it, and when you receive it, you sell it already. So most of the time when you buy something, it deals better with the GIT, just in time, whereby I get it from my supplier and I sell it straight. So outsourcing, what is outsourcing? Outsourcing is mainly about transferring a firm's activity that have traditionally been internal or to an outside vendors or external suppliers. So what does it mean? There are some other companies, like again McDonald's, they make, it's a fast food restaurant, but they don't own trucks. They don't do the transportation or logistics. So what they can do is, like, because that is not part of our core competency, what we can do is just to take this and ask another company to do the transportation for us. By the time they have done that, it's already called outsourcing, because we transfer our activity to another company that is not to another company. So it uses the efficiency that comes with specialization, and firms outsource information technology, accounting, legal, logistics and so on. You find out that there are some companies, for example, as far as the technology is concerned, they have a network or have a database that is managed by another company for them, because they want to focus on their own things or on their own competencies. So there are different supply chain strategies. There are strategies that deal with many suppliers, few suppliers, care ratio and so on. There are 5 of them, but we are going to look at them individually. So the first one is dealing with many suppliers. So dealing with many suppliers means that I'm this company that manufacture, for example, cars, but now I don't have only one supplier, I have many suppliers for the same item. Why would one company to do that? Generally, it's because if I got many suppliers, even if my first supplier for the tires cannot make it, I can go to the second one. If the second one cannot make it, I can go to the third one. If the third one cannot go, so it actually protects you. But like the first dot is saying, commonly this thing is used for this method is used for a commodity purpose, and purchasing is typically based on price. I can get 4 suppliers, but I'm gonna take the supplier that will give me the best price. If I deal with quality that is based on higher price, I'll go for the supplier that gives me the highest cost. If it's about minimizing cost, I'll go for the supplier that gives me the lowest cost. So it's also nice because long-term partnering relationship is not really the goal. So the goal is not about partnering with someone for long. It's about partnering with someone that will give me what I want. That's it. So because there are different suppliers, it's like the one that gives me the quality that I want, I go for that one. It's more like I'm selling my car and there are many people that are bidding and so on for auction. So it's more like the one that gives me the good price, that is the one I go from. There's no really relationship about long term and something like that. It's about whoever gives me what I want, I go for that one. So the second strategy is about few suppliers. So this one, I don't have many suppliers, I only have few of them, but those one I generally go for long-term relationship. Why? Because if I deal with someone for long, it's good because I know first of all that the quality that the person is giving me or my supplier is giving me, so it's quite easy for me to stick to that person because there is consistency in the production. Also, it creates value through economy of scale and learning curves of improvement. What does it mean? It just means that every time that I'm working with someone for long, I can get this economy of scale principle that is more like if I buy 2 units, one unit, I buy it maybe at 50 rand. If I buy 50 unit, a product is gonna be sold maybe instead of 50, I'll get it at 45, 47. Why? Because you have a long-term relation with a supplier. So suppliers are more willing to participate in a just-in-time program and contribute design technology expertise. And also the cost of changing suppliers is huge. Why? Because I'm used to one person who provide me the same product over and over. If today I decide to break that partnership and get another supplier, it's gonna be a problem for me, first of all, to find someone that will give me the same quality that I used to get before. And because of it's gonna take time, it will be like it's gonna affect my quality that I'm delivering to the customer right now. And you know, if a customer is not satisfied, he leaves, and it's money that you're losing, which is considered like a cost that is lost. Another one can be vertical integration. So vertical integration is about developing the ability to produce goods and services that were previously purchased or buying or buying from a supplier or a distributor. So when we're dealing with vertical integration, we can find out that it can be forward or backward. Forward is generally something that someone else was doing for me toward my customers, or backward, this is toward my suppliers. So in other words, what we're going to do is like, let's look at this example here. We have the background integration that goes straight to the raw material or the suppliers, or forward integration that goes to the finished product. So if we take the example of the University of Johannesburg, the University of Johannesburg is located in South Africa. And then in Gauteng, you find out that the university doesn't own, it's just a young university. 2005, that's when they really started operating like UJ. So what happened is like the university doesn't own so far buses. So the logistics or transportation between from students from one campus to another is done by a third party company. So that company, they have their own buses that transport UJ students from one campus to another. A backward integration from the University of Johannesburg will be to acquire their own buses, whereby it's reaching UJ, they belong to UJ, they don't have to outsource from Megabus or from Staybus. A forward integration, now you see, for example, that the background one goes already backward from the customers, from the supplier. You understand that there was a relationship between UJ and the company, the third party, which in this case is Staybus. So now UJ acquired their own bus, they don't rely anymore on Staybus. So a forward integration will be something that UJ will do to get in touch straight with the customer, who are the students in this case. So few things will be UJ to acquire more labs, for example, for operation management students, since they don't have labs like that, or they can also acquire more venues so that they accommodate the customers who are the student. A second example would be Ford. Ford, we all know that it's an automobile company. They don't manufacture tires. One thing that they can do is like backward integration will be for them to get tires or steel, so that they can manufacture get steel to manufacture their own car frames, or make their own tires and so on. So that one goes back from the supplier, so they wouldn't need anymore a supplier. What they will do is like they'll be able to supply their own product. This is a backward integration. Forward integration, to get in touch with the client, they can maybe have their own dealer shop whereby they sell their own cars and so on. Because right now, if a company want to get cars from Ford, if you want to get car from Ford, you only go to certified dealers. You don't go to Ford themselves. While Ford can own their own dealer shop whereby they can sell their own product. Now, the fourth one is the carrot network. So the carrot network is a middle ground between few suppliers and vertical integration. Remember, when you talk about few suppliers, we say that I only have one or two suppliers that are giving me what I want, and we develop this long term relationship. The next, there is what we call vertical integration, with the example of Ford being able to acquire their own raw material, which is backward you get the tires and the steel, forward maybe you get the dealer shop. So carrot will fall in the middle here, in the middle. So it's something that is between the two of them. Like, we don't really partner with someone with few suppliers, we don't also get your product. What happens is like sometimes we work with the supplier for a short time, which goes back to for a long time, which goes back to few suppliers. And sometimes we found out that if we work for the supplier for long, or we work with the supplier for long, is going to be able to get into some our core competencies, let us be able to manufacture our own stuff by ourselves. Then it turns into vertical integration. Now, supplier become part of the company coalition. It often provide financial support for suppliers through ownership and loans. So you have been in a relationship with a supplier for long that sometimes you even buy product from them without giving them money. So you like, we need 50 units, let's get the 50 unit, we sell them, then we give you back the money when we have sold. So a relationship like that is generally a middle ground between few suppliers and vertical integration. Many companies really use it without even knowing. So the last one is virtual company. So virtual company is this company that rely on a variety of suppliers relationship to provide service on demand. So what happened most of the time with this is like we have this company, like for example Outsourcing, we sell stuff online. The product that they are selling clothes, the clothing brand, they sell stuff online, but now they don't have a physical shop. You sell our stuff online, they sell their product online. So when a customer wants, he checks everything online, he makes the payment, and we sell it. So the good thing with this kind of company is like it's exceptionally lean performance. Remember, lean is about minimizing waste. So it requires low capital investment and flexible and speed. So these kind of companies, most of the time what happens is like they deal with different suppliers to be able to provide the final product. A company like Outsourcing, for example, deal with company like Postnet or Aramex to be able to ship their product, because what they do is like they just got a manufacturing center where they produce what the customer need. They give it to Postnet or Aramex that will deliver the product to the customer. So there is no really direct contact. The good thing with this also is like it's nice because we don't need a lot of money. You can start this company even from your own place. Inventory is also a good thing because we don't have things in stock. We wait when you ask, we manufacture it, and we sell it. So managing the supply chain. For a company to really successfully manage the supply chain, there must be, first of all, mutual agreement on goals with the suppliers. There must be trust. There must be compatible organizational culture. What does it mean? Mutual trust is sometimes a company can decide to deliver a product. Suppliers can deliver product to a company X. They say that we deliver 500 units. So because there's this trust, we don't necessarily have to go and start checking is it 500 unit, because there's a trust between the customer. There's a mutual agreement. Whatever you see in the future, this is what also my company sees in the future. But because I trust you, it doesn't mean I cannot control. Just to be on the safe side, mistakes can happen, accuracy record can happen. Whenever a company receives product from the suppliers, you always need to go for the checking. But for the supplier, for the supply chain to really be successful, there must be this complementarity between the two companies, and between the supplier and the company itself. The last point is about compatible organizational culture, which means that whenever a company is working with different suppliers that, let's say, is in another country, culture is really something that affects the business. There are some countries, for example, whereby you cannot sell a product that is made, for example, of beef or of pork, for example, or it needs to meet a specific standard. So if your supplier knows that you are in those kind of country, they need to make sure that those products, whenever they manufacture them, they meet the requirement of your country, because there's no need to make a product that doesn't meet the requirement of that country and then you send it to your organization, like they supply it to you. It's gonna be useless, and it affects the trust and the mutual agreement too. For example, McDonald's does not offer beef burgers in India, because India, they don't eat cow, it's only animal. So most of the product is made of fish or chicken and something like that. So understanding the culture of another country will help you make sure that your business the supply chain itself is at ease. So a few issues that you will meet whenever you're dealing with the supply chain is local optimization, incentives, and large lot. Local optimization says that we focus on a local profit cost minimization based on the limited knowledge. Sometimes you find yourself that you are working with with suppliers that are not really helpful as far as your business is concerned. The information that you want, they cannot really supply it to you. Most of the time it goes back to the education. You are a company that deals with IT, with technology and so on, but you get people that are suppliers but they are not really keen on technology, so things won't work. It becomes already an issue. Incentives comes with countries like South Africa, for example. Whenever people are not happy about something that is happening at work, they start striking. It's one of the countries in Africa whereby companies face this thing of striking, and most of the time people strike a lot. So it affects also your business, because the day you're supposed to work, people are striking, and it affects also your suppliers and everyone like that. Large lots, so the low cost of unit but do not reflect sale. There's what we call the bullwhip effect. Bullwhip effect just means that it is a demand that becomes lumpy and unstable as it moves in the supply chain. What does it mean? There's this company that wants, for example, 500 unit. You place your order to your supplier. Instead of 500 unit, they mistakenly, or because of some other reason, they say that you want 505 unit. That same information moves to the other supplier from the supplier again, which is not 505. It gets maybe 506, 505 and 10, which affect already your inventory. So it's something that generally happens in the supply chain. So one thing to deal with that is always to get a right record, and to be able to use a record whereby you get the information, you send it to the next person, and the next person have them that is written, so that we avoid mistakes. One of the other aspects to consider is logistics management. So logistics management actually is about the transportation of product from one place to another. This is logistics. Now, the objective is to obtain efficient operation through the integration of all material acquisition, movement, and storage capacity. So what does it mean? That if, for example, I'm a company that manufactures clothes, there are some raw materials that I cannot get in my country. I need to get them from one country, from one place to another. How do I do that? I need to get a company that will do the shipping for me. By the time we do that, it's already logistic. Like with the University of Johannesburg, what they do with the students, taking them from one campus to another, it's already logistic. Sometimes you find companies that have pickup point for employees. From that pickup point to where the company is, it's logistic management. We move people, we move information from one place to another. It's part of logistic management. So generally, this part is what we say that it is a candidate of outsourcing. Many companies are not really able to do that because it's really costly. So what they do is like they outsource this part to other companies like McDonald's, as I said in the beginning, that they can take. They can ask another company to do the shipping of the product from the supplier to where they are. So the distribution, there are generally there are many distribution systems, but for the scope of this study, we're only going to stick to 5 of them. The first one is the trucking. We'll get the railroad, the air freight, the pipeline, and the waterways. So those are the most common means of distribution, but it doesn't mean they are the only one. There are so many of them too. So let's look at the first one, which is trucking. Trucking is about actually using trucks to move product from one place to another. They move the majority of manufactured goods. Chief advantage is flexibility, especially, for example, in South Africa. South Africa got these roads that are the most connected in Africa itself. So they generally deal with trucks here. We get trucks that are shipping product from one place to another. For example, they are moving product from the distribution center of Pick and Pay into the retail store in Bram, for example. Companies that deal with that can be DHL, can be Imperial, and then UTI. Most of the time, those are the companies that deal. Those are not the only company. There are so many companies, but this is just an example of company that use trucking as a mean of transport. The second one is the railroad. So railroad here, it's about using the rails. So that we are able to ship our product. So it is capable of carrying a large lot, but there's a little flexibility though. Containers and and piggybacking have helped with this. So what happened is like we are using train that we can move. It's not all the products that need to be shipped by truck. Some others that will only need, because there are some other places whereby the trucks cannot go. It's only the train that can go through. So what we do is like we use the railroads. Companies that use that most of the time in South Africa, you got Transnet, you also got Prasa. They generally move people from one place to another. They'll also have trains that do that because they're moving also people from one place to another. There are also some other product like cargos and so on. They need to be shipped using a train. The air freight, well, this one here is really fast and flexible. Most of the time you can do the delivery in one day. An example, from South Africa to Congo, 2 hours. You use the plane, you deliver a product. The only problem is like because it's fast and most of the time flexible, it is expensive now. So if you want to ship a product from one place to another using the plane, it will take probably less than a day, but it's gonna be expensive. But if I want to use the car, it will take maybe 1 or 2 days. It's less expensive, but it's time consuming. That is the problem. You still got company like DHL, like FedEx. Most of the time they do the shipping more almost all over the world. So you get also waterways. Waterways typically used for bulky project or bulky product. It's low value cargo. It's used when shipping cost is more important than speed. So yeah, it's if I'm dealing with this product that I just want to ship them, even if it takes 1 or 2 months, I want the product to be shipped. An example would be, for example, the cars that are being shipped from Japan to Durban. Those cars, most of the time, they are it is done through waterways. The car can take, the shipment itself can take even 1 or 2 weeks, sometimes even months. They need to be delivered here in South Africa. So generally, it's for bulky project. You know that those projects, if I need to use the plane, it's gonna be expensive or it's not even possible. So I go for those one. Few companies, you get Imperial Logistics, you get also Barlow World Logistics. They also deal with this kind. They also use this kind of means of distribution. Then you also got the pipeline. So generally they are used for the transportation of oil, gas, and other chemical product. So you'll find out that these companies that are shipping oil maybe from Dubai to another country, or from the place whereby the oil is pumped itself to the customers, they use they use pipelines. So companies that do that, you have Shell that they provide your fuel, petrol everywhere. You also have Total. Those are companies that can really help you whenever they use this kind of distribution system. So the last point is about e-procurement. So what is e-procurement? E-procurement is the use of the internet to facilitate purchasing. So the speed of purchasing, it reduces costs, it integrates the supply chain, and so on. You find out that there are some companies whereby there are some products you just need to order them online. And sometimes e-procurement, we even buy this thing by buying something through the internet via emails and so on. Whenever they send the quotation online, it's part of e-procurement. So it removes really this barrage of paperwork, because it's not really expensive. You're just using the internet and then you pass the information once and for all. So many companies, like for example AdConscious, they sell stuff online, clothing brand. You get also eBay, that they sell product almost everywhere in the world. You also get Take a Lot, mainly in South Africa, they sell product, like it's an online market. You also get Amazon, that is well known all over the world, they ship. So you understand that this product of e-procurement, for example, Amazon, they can ship using FedEx, they can ship using DHL, they can ship using Imperial Logistics, depending on the product and depending on the location of the buyers themselves. So yes, in short, this is it about this chapter. So thank you so much, and I really hope that it was productive and it helped you to understand better concept of supply chain. Until we do the next video, see you, bye.